DZADZANG. All right, so the commission today, it was mind-opening because today I got an opportunity to reflect on what we're not asking. And I haven't heard this question being asked ever since this commission started. First and foremost, why is there a tender for R500 million for the police to do medical screenings? And I want to put a little anecdote here for us to understand what we're talking about here. I was once sitting with friends and I said it. I don't want to say a friend said it. I said it. And I said, every single year they're struggling to distribute school books. Why isn't the government doing a contract with South African breweries? Because the beer always gets where it needs to go. The beer always gets where it's supposed to go. Because I don't like this thing where on one side we are such a moral country and on the other side, no. You are honest or you aren't honest. You're corrupt or you're not corrupt. There's no quarter corrupt. There's no half corrupt. And now why am I saying it in this context? Why? Is there a whole new hospital popping up to screen the police? Why are the police not screening in public hospitals? Because everywhere where there's a police station, there should be a public hospital or a public clinic. Why are you taking R500 million every year from the fiscus? And this R500 million, the way it's not going to do its work, it's not going to do its work to a point where a matriculant with no medical degree is going to be given 51% of a company where he is made the president, but there's a Medicare Tshwane, and Medicare Tshwane is owned by him, but it's a franchise of Medicare, of which he owns 51%. So you can already hear, because when I'm talking like that, that's the journey of the kickbacks. So this money, when it leaves, it goes to a company that's not going to do the work, to pay people that are going to do the work that public clinics and hospitals are already supposed to be doing. Because if the hospitals and the clinics are working, the police can go get screened at the hospital and the clinics. I mean, I've traveled. I've had to do medical checks. And I don't have a medical aid. So when the Chinese government, because I just went to China, when the Chinese government said to me, you have to do all of these tests, I first went to the clinic, local clinic here. And I went and I did everything I could do at the clinic. Then at the clinic, they said, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do this. Then I went to the private sector. And I got my things to go. But when you are employing people for the police, why are you doing tests on them that you don't require for every other South African? Because the Chinese government can ask me to do things that are not required by the South African government in clinics. Because it's another government. But the police, why would you need to do the police anything that can't be done in a public hospital? That's the question I'm missing. It's not being answered. It's not being answered. What is missing the most from this Madlanga Commission as well as the parliamentary hearings is We are supposed to be hearing testimony from the companies that legitimately applied for this work. We are supposed to be hearing from the companies that legitimately applied for this work, submitted a tender, followed the procedure, and didn't get the contract. We are also supposed to be hearing from this metropolitan that has been doing this work that could have been done by public hospitals. Do you understand that the story with why we didn't have, remember when they were not hiring doctors? They said they don't have money. And we did the calculation, and it was not $500 million that the doctors needed to be able to service the hospitals. They didn't have the money for the doctors. Now they've got money to pay Metropolitan. We know for a fact Metropolitan was paid for 3 years. And I heard a number of 1.9 billion today. And my question is, who are those people? Who's that? Who's that that's been eating this tender? Another thing that I'm not seeing in the headlines is people being arrested. There's an allegation of corruption against you. I'm not hearing about people being suspended. But we're not supposed to be talking about suspended. We're supposed to be talking about arrested. You know, in South Africa, people will come and give you arguments about why there's no death penalty in South Africa. They'll give you so many arguments about why there's no death penalty in South Africa. I don't get it. Because people died in those hospitals. There's a death penalty in South Africa. It's for the poor, and they're not connected. And they die for no reason. There is a death penalty in South Africa. There is. The thing that I want to hear is all the people that didn't get the contract. When I listen to General Fani, and then you compare him to General Dimpane, these two professionals are worlds apart. They are worlds apart, guys. Worlds apart. General Fani does not know his job, and I'll say it because it's the truth. He doesn't know his job. That person has been promoted and promoted and promoted because he is part of least resistance when it comes to corruption. Path of least resistance. And let me tell you, in government, when you are part of least resistance, you will stay employed. You'll stay. You won't lose your job. Your contract won't end. You will have a job in South Africa. And you compare him to General Dimpane, and you want to tell me those two people are on the same level? You can, just listening to them testify. Why does General Fani still have his job? Why are so many qualified, hardworking South Africans unemployed? The thing is, guys, we were sold a dream. I was sold the dream, guys. I bought the dream. I don't want to lie. I bought the dream. I was young when we were singing South Africa, we love you. I was young. When I got my Fulbright scholarship and they asked me, what are you going to do with what you learn in America? I said, I'm going to come back to my country and work in the public sector. That's what I said. Now that I am a master's graduate singer, now that I am a aspiring public servant who has had to develop entrepreneurial skills, because if you don't want to steal, they don't want you in the public sector. Guys, we are being duped. You are watching this thing, it's happening in front of your eyes. You are debating at home. What are you debating? Why is Parliament having a commission to discuss fraud that's all happening? Because government was doing things and buying services that they did not have to buy.